Welcome back to another Honest Tool Reviews. I know you're probably getting tired of all of my gun videos, but until I have thoroughly shown and reviewed every tool I have, I'm probably not planning to stop anytime soon. And as long as there are guns that still need to be reviewed, and since it's 3 a.m. in the morning outside, I'm going to go ahead and review a gun again, and I'm swapping it up from the long guns and big guns to something a little bit more practical for Grandma and Grandpa. What you're looking at is the Heritage. This is the Heritage Rough Rider 22LR. However, it doesn't only come in 22LR. The great thing about this handgun, which normally will look a bit like this, is this gun comes with 2 cylinders. Instead of magazines or mag tubes, it uses cylinders. Each cylinders hold the bullets and rotate them into place for the hammer to then fire them. Okay, so before I even start playing with this, just an explanation as to why this gun is so nice and so good is because this is what's called a revolver. It is a one action. It's not double action, it's one action. That means I can't pull the trigger to make the hammer move. I have to pull the trigger when the hammer is cocked. So I have to cock it in order to move the hammer with the trigger. I cannot fire this without pulling the hammer back first. And you would say, well, doesn't that mean it's a 2 or 3 action? Yes, technically this requires more action, but it's called a 1 action or something like that. I'm not going to say that I'm the best with guns. Point being that this actually, you have to do this in order to do that. That being said, that means this is a little slower a gun to use. You can only fire 1 bullet at a time, and you will have to cock it every time. But it also makes it safer to use. The way I carry this is my current open carry. It will become my second open carry now that new one is that new one is on display. This one will be on the opposite side. I will be open carrying this one opposite of that one. Yeah, that seems like a lot. I don't really care. As long as I have my rights, I'm gonna use it. Okay, so this is a safe gun because when you carry the revolvers, you are supposed to carry with an empty cylinder. When you open carry a revolver with an empty cylinder, you open carry like this, with a bullet behind the hammer. When you cock the hammer back, it's going to rotate the cylinder to the empty cylinder, and then if you were to accidentally fire, it'll be empty and nothing will fire. Now that being said, you would have to cock it again and turn this one more time to fire it true. That being said, if you are in a situation in which you really need to use this gun, you would actually pull it halfway, which releases this, and you take your hand and go ahead and go from the first situation that you have, where there's one here but not here, and you'll turn it 2 clicks to the right, and then you'll go ahead and set it in. You're ready to go. Of course, you could go ahead and just chit, which is fine, but if you're trying to be quiet about it, if you're hiding behind a shoe rack or something at Macy's, God forbid, something's happened and you need cover for a minute, you just rotate that, you're ready to start defending yourself, against whoever's decided that they are going to take over Macy's. For the record, I don't shop at Macy's. I don't endorse Macy's. I know nothing about the place. Just a name that I'm throwing out there. Alright, so you might ask what the deal is with all of these bullets that I have just willy-nilly thrown in here and used for my example of the cylinder being carried. Well, if I may say so, all of these are 22 bullets, and every one of these can be carried in this gun. Starting from the left, this is called a 22 short. It is a very, very tiny casing, probably one of the tiniest casings for a realistic actual gun that people will take seriously. Now this is roughly, the length of this is roughly the width of my finger. It is a tiny subsonic low recoil shell. It is probably more expected that that is purely a self-defense round at this point, or a plinking round. You will not hunt with this ever, and if you do, God help your prey. If it survives, it will be in agony. Skipping that one for a minute. This, and this are all three normal 22 long rifle bullets. You're looking at, from left to right, a copper full metal jacket, a lead full metal jacket, and a gold plated full metal jacket, all three of which are standard 22 long rifle shells. It will also fire 22 pest shot and 22 rat shot. The differences being the rat shot kind of looks like a shotgun shell. The pest shot looks like a blue pill you might have seen in the Matrix. They are both pretty much the same length. All 5 of these bullets are identically the same size. They all typically work the same. The only difference is in some rifles that are semi-autos, these right here are terrible for opening up at the ends and being too long inside of the barrel and not ejecting properly. They get too tight inside the barrel. However, for the use of the revolver, they work magnificent because the shells stay inside the cartridge anyway. As you can see, it's marked 22 LR, but it also shoots shorts just fine with little to any problem whatsoever. Okay, well, why do I have these others that seem to be so much bigger? Good question. Good question. Let me show you how much bigger they are than, let's say, the standard. Match copper to copper, pest shot to pest shot, and then match the, there we go. So, how much bigger would you say that is? Well, it's hard to say. I will say that 22 long rifle is about 2/3 of the size of this big one. Well, what is the big one? It's called 22 Magnum. And then the blue one is 22 Magnum Pest Shot. As you can see, it's kind of an old one. I've never bought a 22 Pest Shot. I found this one at work. It was interesting. And to just go into a little detail about what Pest Shot is, I'll just break it open for you. Let's see if we can break it open. Kind of a clean break. Okay, that is Pest Shot. And some of it might be, yep. Forgive me, I need to clean this up. Some of that is gunpowder. And I'm back. Okay, so I was showing you the pest shot, and what it looks like inside is a lot like a 12 gauge shotgun shell round, or a 410 gauge shotgun shell round, or a 8 gauge shotgun shell round, or 16 gauge shot. It's basically a shotgun shell round in the size of random bullets. Now these can't possibly go inside this casing, this cylinder. Their casing, the bullet shell, is too big. It won't fit. And that's because this fits these, which fits perfectly. Even the shorts fit perfectly. Okay, so what do? Well, for the Heritage 22, they gave us a separate cylinder. Now, yes, that means you can't shoot all of these at the exact same time, but you can reload quicker going one way or the other. It gives you the ability to change cylinders really quick to keep going. So technically, instead of 6, you can shoot 12 before reloading, technically. And a little positive thought here is it allows you to shoot a really, really small round if you're determined not to be a violent person and trying your best not to take a life, or if you don't want to live in fear, and if you're determined you want to put them down with the first shot, you hit them with a hollow point. Is that a hollow point? Yeah, it's got that weird design. It's a hollow point. It's a 22 Magnum hollow point. It's got a little piece of plastic in here to help it unfold. It'll fly more true. Okay, so which one do I open carry? Well, I actually change them out depending on where I'm going and when I'm going. If I am going to go to my mother-in-law's house, I will load a couple of these tiny ones, because there should be no threat in the neighborhood whatsoever, and I'm inside her house. And I go like that. Now, if I am in the need to go to the grocery store, and it is daytime and there's nothing odd going on, I tend to pack it a little differently. I pack 2 shorts like that, and then I pack my gold, then my bronze, then my lead. I pack it like this because if I do have to use the long rifle, then I've already shot twice, and since I'm responsible for every bullet that I shoot, if I have to fire a third one, I want to make it really, really count. So I'll fire the gold tip. It is the strongest bullet I have in this 22 range, and I say strongest in case maybe the reason these didn't go anywhere is they're too short. They won't make the distance for my shot. This will reach out a little further and hit a little harder. It is not hollow point because these are target rounds for my AR-15 chambered in 22 caliber. But that being said, it definitely has the power to reach somebody. Now, that being said, if that doesn't stop them, I'm genuinely ready to shoot one more time with the copper, and at that point things have gotten stupid serious. I don't want to keep wasting really nice rounds, so I'm backing off to the lesser rounds again, because clearly the situation isn't going to be based on a nice round. But so why do I even bother to put the short ones in here? Well, because I'm trying my hardest not to take a life. So, if somebody was to break into, well, let's just say I'm stopping at McDonald's to pick up a burger, and someone comes in and they have a gun, but I'm like 10th in line, so I'm back there at the tables pretty much, and they come in. I can take a shot and not worry about killing them. But there's two of them. Okay. So I can put a bullet in each one of those two people, and I haven't killed them, chances are, but I have stopped them. Now, what if, just maybe, what if the bullet hits their gun or hits the table and has stopped? Well, I'm probably too far away from them. Bullet probably doesn't have enough momentum. I play it seriously, and I'm hoping that if I missed one, or if I've missed both, that knocking one down will make the other one stop. But if it doesn't, I have two more. Now these three would definitely reach somebody behind a little glass panel at McDonald's. So this is my setup for going out during the day, as opposed to just going to my in-laws' house, where I'm not actually expecting to get hurt ever. Nothing against my in-laws. I like to be safe everywhere. I have a daughter, and I wish to protect my daughter. The cops will never be within 12 minutes of my house, or my location, or my car, or my bank. If they're anywhere I'm at, that is a lucky coincidence, and then you better hope it's a good cop. Right? Because cops are so bad? Well, since people are disbanding the cops and no one trusts the cops, why should I trust the cops? I don't. I trust me. Now, what do I do if it's 3 a.m. in the morning and my wife sends me out to pick up milk for the baby and diapers? I'm packing just like this, because at 3 a.m. in the morning, if anyone walks up to me at the ATM or the parking lot at Walmart, at the self-checkout or anywhere else, and it happens to escalate, I am not playing with them. I am too tired. I am too ill. I am not in the mood. And whatever reason they came up to me, if it's a violent reason, they've probably planned it out. They were waiting for somebody, and they're probably deadly. In which case, I'm not giving them a chance to walk away from it. Yes, I know, that sounds absolutely horrible. But at 3 a.m. in the morning, are you more or less likely to get mugged? Think about that for a minute. 3 a.m. in the morning is a dangerous time to be out walking around for any reason. So, put a good hollow point through them and call it the end of a day. Why a hollow point and why the end of a day? Well, because this should stop anybody. You put this through their kneecap and they're not going to walk away from it. They're not going to run at you. They're not going to attack you any further. They're going to be focused on their leg. You're now free to call the cops, tell the cops what you did, have the cops and the ambulance on their way, and once you've wrote your statement out, you should be free to go after your 12 hours of incarceration. But you're alive. You are alive, and that is the important thing. Mainly, if I'm alive, I can be a parent for my child. I can be a husband for my wife. I can keep working to pay the bills that my family has. Now, staying alive sounds a little selfish, but that child needs food on the table, and I've got to go to work to earn that food. So, it is very important that I stay alive. And anyone trying to mug me is probably just going to kill me after they've taken my money. No witnesses, remember that? So, it may sound a little paranoid. I don't really care. All the same, this is my setup. and I usually carry both. I keep this in the vehicle and this in the gun. Now, how does this work? How do these cylinders go in? Interesting question. Well, this particular gun does require 2 hands, if not 3. Just a funny little joke. It's pretty intuitive. What happens here is, there's a little rod right here. The rod goes through a hole on this side. It feeds through. Let's see if I can get it in by itself. There we go. Okay. And this rod acts as kind of a rail that this will spin on. Okay, so you take it out by pressing this button and pulling it out. Then you install this from the opposite side. You have to pull this piece up. Let me empty this because I'm just doing a demonstration. I'm not looking to put a hole in my house. Okay, so you take the chamber that usually has bullets in it, and you slide it in like this. Okay, you close this, you lay it down on this side, and you push the pin in. And you may have to kind of wiggle it. There you go, and it's in. You will notice that the chamber or cylinder does not move freely. Well, that's because of the action. The action on this, allows you to hold on. I am terrible at this. You can't pull the trigger by accident. Okay, and then you have to have the safety on to pull the trigger too. So you still can't pull the trigger. Wow, that wasn't a fire. You have to pull. There you go. Did you see the move? Let's do that again, just in case you didn't see. Okay, so you cock it. It moves and it's cocked. And you can fire the trigger like that. This is just a little emergency kind of thing where it won't fire a pin, but it brings it back down. From here, you are free to move the chambers, and then from here you can fire it. Then at this point you can fire it all you want, but the trigger doesn't work, so it's kind of like safety. You just simply pull the trigger to release the hammer and let it back down, and once again you can't move it once it's in place. Now, how do you change the bullets out after you fired them without taking the whole cartridge out? Good question. Well, yes, that is something that you can do. A lot of older models and a lot of different models, you just pop the cylinder out to the left and take the bullets out. For the Heritage, it's a little different. You take this little piece on the side and you open it. You're going to cock the hammer back to the second position. The second position allows you to... I'm sorry. Yeah, that is the second position though. You pull this open with the hammer in number 2 position and freely move it. As you freely move it, you see you can line up the bullets with this little space. And while it does, you take this little rod right here and pop the bullets out. It runs through the hole, out the back, like so. Let's get it lined up so you can see. Popping the shells out, rotate it, and do that. Let's show it actually Can we show it rotating, please? Let's see. Okay, you rotate it in place. Then you pull the trigger, little thingy to release. Then you'll rotate again. And you'll continue until all 6 bullets are out. And then you'll simply do the opposite. You'll put a bullet in, rotate, put a bullet in, rotate, put a bullet in, rotate. Then the gun is now reloaded without removing the cylinder. Is it simpler just to remove the cylinder? Yes. Is it quicker just to remove the cylinder? Depends. It's quicker to remove the cylinder if you're going to put another cylinder in, but it's not quicker if you have to stop and reload, in which case you're better off just to go ahead and throw them in here, because you're still going to have to feed them into the cylinder one at a time. Okay, so that pretty much covers how this gun works, what it looks like, what it shoots. It's pretty basic, pretty simple gun. See, keep empty chamber under hammer. Well, a little funny story about this gun. It is in fact modeled after a old police gun that was used in the West. The chamber size is smaller than the old police gun. Instead, 22 is not the size of the rounds that were used. Hard enough to believe, but true enough all the same. The 22 it's kind of a different size because handguns, people buy handguns left and right. Sometimes they buy them like jewelry. You can buy this in the original size, but I don't know what that size is. I just know that this one shoots shorts, longs, long rifles, and magnums. That being said, it now comes in black handled finish, in silver with this finish, silver with black finish. It comes in black with pearl finish. It comes in silver with pearl, and it comes in black with American flag stars on white stripes. It does not come with red, white, and blue, but it's still a very patriotic look, patriotic look, and I love it. I was tempted to buy that instead of that, but because buying guns for decorative use is not my main reason to buy guns, I instead went with that because of the needs that I feel are being met. This is my first handgun, and this is the safest handgun I can come up with. Between having to pull back the trigger 2 clicks, the trigger safety, the complexity of the bullet system, putting the bullet empty over here on the side, which is keeping it empty under the hammer, and the complexity of getting it out of the case. Someone would have to be able to open this up, pull it out, know that the hammer was empty underneath, know to pull it back to, know to turn the trigger on, and then still aim it. And that's if they were able to handle the shot because they were experienced with handguns. It wouldn't be some liberal stealing my gun, and it wouldn't be somebody who's never held a gun before, and then it would still have to be someone who knew how 6-shooters work and knew I was carrying that way. So that being said, they'd also have to know that it was single shot and be smart enough to pull the hammer back immediately. Thus, this gun buys you a lot of time if somebody has stolen your gun, and is pretty safe around children. I'm not saying to leave it around unloaded or loaded, or just sitting on the table. You should still use your locks, your guards, lock it up, put it somewhere, trigger safety with your fingerprint reader or what have you. But it is as safe as any gun is probably going to be. I'm not a lawyer, but that's my opinion. So that was my first gun, that one being my second-hand gun. I'll give you an update on that one when I've actually thoroughly used it. I've not even made one shot out of it yet, so I may have an interesting story or two to tell. Thank you once again for watching Honest Tool Reviews. I hope I haven't rambled too much, and I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about this Heritage Rough Rider 22 and the many bullets that it shoots. Thank you, and please have a great night. Stay safe out there.